You're sleeping soundly, and then it strikes. Your leg locks, your calf twists, pain rips through the night. You gasp, sit up, rub, wait, it doesn't help, you've been here before. And if you're like millions of seniors, you're here too often. What if I told you? The answer might not be in another pill, but in something you already eat. Or forgot to. What if your kitchen could do what your medicine cabinet hasn't? If you've been waking up at 2 a.m. from searing leg cramps, and you're tired of dreading bedtime, then this might be the most important list you've heard all year. There's something powerful hiding in the food you eat, and once you know how to use it, you may finally sleep without pain. There's a woman named Margaret who thought her cramps were just part of getting old until one yellow fruit and a handful of seeds changed everything. You're still here. So maybe this story is for you too. It started with a scream, not the kind you shout, but the silent one that escapes only in your breath as pain grips your body in the dark. Margaret, 74, hadn't had a good night's sleep in weeks. Living alone in a quiet suburb of Ohio, she was used to silence. But the silence of 2 a.m., interrupted by pain stabbing through her calf, that was different. She tried to stand, her leg buckled. It wasn't just a cramp. It felt like her body was warning her of something worse. She rubbed, she paced, she cried. It had happened before, but this time, it lingered. The morning came with more than soreness. It brought fear. What if this wasn't just a cramp? What if her body was breaking down? And she didn't even know it. She didn't tell her daughter. Didn't want to worry her, didn't tell her doctor. She thought, maybe it's just age. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was, Margaret had no idea that something simple, something she'd stopped doing years ago, was quietly making her nights unbearable. A banana, one banana every morning. She used to eat one with her oatmeal. Then one day, she didn't. And then, she forgot, until the day she remembered again, and everything began to change. But before that moment, she had to go through one more night, one more 2 a.m. reminder that her body was asking for help. It wasn't medication she needed. It was restoration. And that started with food. The next morning, Margaret stood in front of her kitchen window, steam rising from her tea, and one yellow curve resting on the counter. She hadn't touched a banana in years. "I used to eat these all the time," she whispered, almost surprised by her own memory. She didn't know it then, but that simple fruit was about to become her first real remedy. Bananas are more than sweet snacks. They're nature's electrolyte pills, packed with potassium, a mineral your muscles crave to stay calm, not clench. Low potassium levels are like frayed wires in your body. The signal from your nerves gets jumpy, muscles misfire. Cramping begins for seniors, whose bodies naturally lose hydration and muscle mass over time. That imbalance becomes more dangerous and more frequent. Margaret didn't read a study, she didn't follow a trend, she just remembered feeling good back when breakfast included a banana, so she sliced one, added it to her oatmeal, and ate slowly, quietly hoping it mattered. She kept doing it day after day, and by the 5th night, something strange happened. She slept all the way through, no cramp, no sudden bolt of pain, just rest. She couldn't believe it. Could it really be this simple? Well, one banana has about 400 milligrams of potassium, enough to calm overactive muscles, especially when combined with hydration and magnesium from other foods. But it wasn't just potassium. Bananas also contain vitamin B6, a small but mighty player in nerve function. That meant less twitching, less tingling, less of that restless, crawling feeling in her legs at night. Margaret didn't just feel better, she felt safer. She had found something she could control, something that didn't require a prescription, didn't cause side effects, didn't cost more than a morning paper. And she wasn't alone. Across the country, people like John in Florida, Linda in Oregon, were rediscovering bananas, not as a breakfast side, but as a nightly shield. Small, firm bananas, especially ones just a bit green, offered potassium without spiking blood sugar, perfect for those watching carbs or managing diabetes. Margaret wasn't trying to be trendy, she was just trying to sleep, and sleep finally came back. If you've ever stood in your kitchen wondering if food could heal, this might be your sign. And while bananas opened the door, the next food Margaret tried did something even deeper. It didn't just calm her muscles. It calmed the fire hiding in her joints. Linda never liked mornings, not because she wasn't a morning person, but because she dreaded the first step out of bed, her knees, stiff, her calves, tight, and every so often. That same deep cramp that woke her at night would linger just long enough to ruin her day. She thought it was arthritis. Maybe it was, but no cream, no pill, ever really helped, until she met her daughter for brunch and tried something new. It was green, it was creamy, and it was sitting atop a slice of whole grain toast. Sprinkled with sea salt and chili flakes, avocado. Linda hadn't eaten one in decades. Too fatty, she used to think, too trendy, but her daughter insisted. "Mom, this isn't about taste, this is about inflammation." Linda rolled her eyes, then took a bite. She didn't expect much, but 3 days later, her joints moved a little easier. Her sleep felt a little deeper, and the cramps, they didn't show up. Avocados are quiet healers. They don't shout their benefits, they whisper them. Through healthy fats and minerals your body forgot it needed. One avocado carries more potassium than a banana, but that's not its only gift. It's rich in magnesium, the mineral your muscles lean on to relax, to reset, to not overreact. Magnesium deficiency is common in seniors, medications, poor absorption, decades of habits, and when it's missing, the body screams in cramps. But avocados don't just bring minerals, they carry anti-inflammatory compounds, monounsaturated fats that soothe, and plant sterols that fight silent swelling in your joints. For Linda, the change wasn't dramatic. It was slow, gentle. Her muscles stopped feeling like rubber bands stretched too far, her legs stopped buzzing at night, and the ache became an echo. By week 2, she wasn't reaching for painkillers, she was reaching for toast. Or blending a half avocado into her morning smoothie, sometimes dicing it over spinach, with lemon and olive oil. It wasn't about trends anymore. It was about freedom. Freedom from that tension in her legs, freedom from that fear of lying down only to be woken up again. Some foods fuel you, some foods restore you. Avocado does both. But what if the tension isn't just in your muscles, but in your blood? What if the key to stopping cramps is getting your circulation to move again? For that, Linda reached for something leafy and found power in something green. Harold didn't like going to bed anymore, not because he wasn't tired, but because bedtime meant one thing. Waiting for the cramp, waiting for the sharp, silent strike that always came between midnight and 2. It didn't matter how early he lay down, or how many pillows he stacked behind his knees. It came anyway. He tried stretching, tried warm baths, tried over-the-counter pills with names he couldn't pronounce. Nothing worked. Then one day at the farmer's market, a young vendor handed him a bundle of leafy greens. "Try this," she said. "Steam it, eat it before bed." He looked at the label, spinach, he chuckled. Thought this stuff was just for salads. But that night, he steamed it. A handful sautéed with olive oil, garlic, and a dash of lemon. He ate slowly. Didn't expect anything, but when the sun rose, he realized something was missing. The pain, no cramp, no muscle bolt, no stabbing wake-up call, just sleep. Spinach isn't just salad filler. It's a vascular powerhouse, loaded with magnesium, and something even more unexpected: nitrates, natural compounds that turn into nitric oxide in your body. Opening blood vessels, improving circulation, delivering oxygen where it's needed most. Your legs, your calves, your tired, tight muscles. Better blood flow means fewer spasms, less fatigue, and a chance to recover while you sleep, especially for seniors like Harold, whose legs often feel like they're walking through water. He made it a habit. Spinach in his dinner stir-fry, in his soup, even blended into smoothies with yogurt and banana. And the cramps, they didn't just stop, they stayed away. Spinach's magnesium soothed his nerves, its nitrates kept blood moving, and its vitamin K and iron helped rebuild what age had worn down. For Harold, it wasn't just about avoiding pain. It was about waking up feeling whole again, feeling like himself. And the best part, he didn't have to change his life, just his plate. Because sometimes, healing doesn't need a prescription, it just needs a fork. But there was one more piece to his nighttime ritual, a handful of something small, crunchy, and surprisingly powerful. The kind of snack that worked while he slept, quietly, relentlessly, like a night guard, for his legs. Clara always kept a small bowl by her bedside, not for jewelry, not for water, but for seeds, tiny, green, crunchy pumpkin seeds. She called them her night helpers. It started by accident. She had read somewhere that magnesium might help with cramps. And pumpkin seeds, they said, were loaded with it. So she tried a few, just a spoonful, every night, right before brushing her teeth. She didn't expect much. But after the third night, the cramps stopped waking her. By the seventh night, she wasn't just sleeping better. She was waking up rested. It didn't make sense at first. How could something so small have such a big effect? 1 ounce of pumpkin seeds carries nearly 40% of your daily magnesium needs. That's more than most multivitamins. But this wasn't just about minerals. It was about the body's rhythm. Magnesium calms muscles. But it also quiets the nervous system. It tells your body, you're safe now. And there's more. Pumpkin seeds contain tryptophan, an amino acid that helps produce serotonin and melatonin. Those two, they're your brain's way of saying, it's time to sleep. For Clara, the difference was night and day. She used to toss and turn, wake up in pain, and lie awake for hours. Now she had a routine, warm shower, book, a few pumpkin seeds, lights off, and she slept. She started adding them to her yogurt, sprinkling them on her salad, even blending them into smoothies with avocado and banana. Food wasn't just fuel anymore. It was medicine, gentle, nourishing, reliable, she told her friend Marjorie, who had restless legs every night. Marjorie laughed. Seeds, that it. But a week later, she called Clara and whispered, they worked. That's the power of real food, no side effects, no warnings, just nutrients your body has been begging for. And unlike supplements, food-based magnesium comes with friends, zinc, healthy fats, antioxidants. A full support system in every bite. But Clara's journey didn't end there. She still had joint pain, still felt stiffness after gardening or walking the stairs. What she needed now was something that could go deeper, into the bones, into the joints. And it came from the sea, in tiny silver cans, packed with oils and answers. George never liked fish. Not the smell, not the texture, not the little bones, but pain changes preferences, and after months of leg cramps, after long walks that ended in soreness, after nights interrupted by muscle spasms, he was ready to try anything. His doctor mentioned omega-3s. Think about salmon or sardines, she said. They fight inflammation from the inside. George winced at the idea, but his granddaughter Emma brought him a can. Just try it, Grandpa, she smiled. I'll make it with toast, you won't even taste the bones. He sighed, and agreed. That night they shared a simple meal, whole grain toast, sardines packed in olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, a sprinkle of cracked pepper. And for the first time in weeks, George's legs didn't throb. The next morning he didn't feel stiff, he felt mobile. What he didn't know, sardines are powerhouses, loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, and calcium, especially when you eat the tiny bones. Omega-3s calm inflammation. They stop the silent swelling that stiffens joints and irritates nerves. Vitamin D helps your muscles absorb calcium. It's the bridge between the food you eat and the strength your body keeps. And calcium, it's the spark that keeps muscle signals firing smoothly. No calcium means nerves misfire, muscles seize, and cramps take over for seniors like George, who don't get much sun or can't digest dairy easily. Sardines are perfect, affordable, accessible, and incredibly efficient. And then there's salmon. Rich, satisfying, packed with the same inflammation-fighting oils, but with a softer flavor. George started eating fish twice a week, sometimes grilled salmon with herbs, sometimes canned sardines with crackers. He didn't become a seafood lover overnight, but he became a believer. his nighttime cramps faded, his knees moved more freely, and the soreness after walking gone for those who can't stand fish. Fish oil or algae-based supplements are a decent backup, but the real deal, with its calcium, fats, and vitamin D combo, is hard to beat. George now keeps sardines in his pantry, salmon in his freezer, and a quiet gratitude in his heart that something so small could make such a big difference. But sometimes what you need isn't just found on a plate. Sometimes it's in a cup, cool, creamy, and surprisingly powerful, because what comes next isn't just food, it's comfort. Evelyn had always loved dessert, but after her diagnosis, sugar became the enemy. She missed the sweet, the creamy, the comfort until one afternoon, her neighbor brought over a bowl, thick, cool, topped with berries and a sprinkle of seeds, yogurt. Greek, her neighbor smiled. High in protein, great for your bones. Evelyn hesitated, then took a spoonful. It was smooth, tangy, satisfying. She didn't know it yet. But that little bowl was about to change more than her taste buds. Yogurt is more than a treat. It's a recovery food, a muscle food, a sleep food, rich in calcium, which keeps your muscles from misfiring, and your nerves from overreacting. Add in vitamin D, and you've got the absorption partner calcium needs to truly work. But it doesn't stop there. Greek yogurt packs protein, muscle healing, fiber building, fatigue fighting protein. And for seniors like Evelyn, whose bodies are slower to rebuild, that's essential. Her evenings changed. She'd blend yogurt with a banana, top it with pumpkin seeds. Sometimes add a bit of cinnamon or almond butter. And each night, her muscles thanked her. The cramps became rarer, the stiffness less severe, and her energy it returned. She even noticed something else. Her digestion improved. She felt lighter, less bloated. That's the power of probiotics, the good bacteria in yogurt that heal your gut and help you absorb more nutrients from everything you eat. Even her doctor was surprised. Her bone density numbers stabilized. Her muscle function improved. And all because she embraced a new kind of comfort food, not sweetened, flavored yogurt with added sugars, but real, plain Greek yogurt, simple, pure, powerful, for those who can't tolerate lactose. There are options, lactose-free yogurts, or plant-based varieties fortified with calcium and vitamin D. The point isn't what kind of yogurt. It's what comes with it: minerals, protein, probiotics, and a calm, steady sleep without cramps. For Evelyn, it wasn't about cutting out everything sweet. It was about finding something that satisfied her and helped her body heal. And just when she thought she'd tried it all, her grandson handed her something simple, something soft, something with a yellow shell, and a bright orange surprise inside. He said, "Grandma, this is my favorite." And soon, it became hers too. Sam didn't believe in miracle cures. He believed in coffee, in routines, in weather forecasts and crossword puzzles. But after his third trip to the ER in 1 year, not for his heart, not for his lungs, but for a leg cramp so violent it dropped him to the floor, he started believing in hydration. But not just any hydration, coconut water. It wasn't the taste that won him over. It was the relief. A single glass before bed, cold, light, and within days, the cramps eased. He didn't know coconut water was nature's electrolyte solution. Didn't realize that 1 cup carried more potassium than a banana. Didn't care that it had magnesium, calcium, and sodium, all in perfect balance. All he knew was that he could sleep again. You see, cramps are often a sign of imbalance, of minerals drained, especially by medications like diuretics, of muscles parched and nerves overcharged. Coconut water fills the gap. It rehydrates, gently, without the sugar spikes of sports drinks, without the blandness of plain water. And for seniors like Sam, who sweat less, but lose just as many electrolytes through daily medications, this simple drink became essential. He kept a bottle in the fridge, took small sips after walks, a full glass after dinner, sometimes added a splash to his smoothies, and at night, his legs stopped shouting, the tension faded, the cramps retreated. He didn't feel young again, he felt steady. That's what coconut water gave him, stability from the inside out. But not all coconut water is equal. Sam chose unsweetened, no additives, just the water inside the coconut, pure and unprocessed. And for those with kidney issues or certain heart conditions, always check with a doctor first, because too much potassium, even from something natural, can be too much. But for Sam, it was just enough. And it taught him something surprising. Sometimes the answer isn't in a pill or a procedure or a complicated therapy. Sometimes it's in your glass. But Sam wasn't done. He wanted something warm now, comforting, earthy, something he hadn't tasted since his childhood. It came wrapped in orange, soft, sweet, and loaded with minerals that his muscles had been begging for. Martha had always called them holiday food. Sweet potatoes, baked with marshmallows, served once a year, then forgotten. But pain has a way of rewriting traditions. It started when her physical therapist mentioned something curious. Your muscles aren't just tired, Martha. They're depleted. He wasn't talking about effort, he was talking about minerals, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and all three lived inside the humble sweet potato, so she gave it a try. One evening, she baked a medium sweet potato, mashed it with a touch of olive oil, sprinkled a little cinnamon on top. No sugar, no marshmallows, just nourishment. And that night, her legs didn't twitch. Her feet didn't pulse. She slept. Sweet potatoes aren't just comfort food, they're restoration in disguise. Each bite brings potassium, over 500 mg in just one serving, helping muscles contract smoothly and release gracefully. They deliver magnesium too, the relaxer, the mineral that tells your body it's okay to let go, and calcium, the messenger that bridges nerves and muscles, so signals fire with clarity, not chaos. But that's not all. Sweet potatoes are also rich in antioxidants, beta-carotene, vitamin C. These compounds fight inflammation, the hidden fire behind cramps, joint pain, and stiffness. And the complex carbs, they digest slowly, keeping blood sugar stable, energy steady, and mood balanced for seniors like Martha dealing with diabetes, fatigue, or arthritis. This root becomes a revelation. She began rotating them into her weekly meals, roasted with rosemary, mashed with garlic, blended into soups with spinach and turmeric. She even saved the boiling water, turned it into broth, so not a single mineral was lost. The effect was cumulative. Her walks got longer, her steps lighter, and her sleep deeper. Food was no longer about avoiding bad things. It was about embracing powerful things, simple, whole, deliberate. And one night, as she sat with her journal, feet warm, body calm, she wrote something that surprised her. For the first time in years, I feel like my body is on my side. But her journey wasn't over. There was still one thing she added, not a meal, but a snack, crunchy, nutty, and packed with quiet strength. Michael always carried a little Ziploc bag in his coat pocket, not with pills, not with candies, but with almonds. He called them his insurance. Years ago, his doctor mentioned magnesium. Your cramps might not be about age, she said. They might be about missing minerals. So he started small, a handful of almonds each afternoon, chewed slowly, mindfully. At first, he didn't notice much, but after 2 weeks, something shifted. His legs didn't seize after gardening. He didn't wake up to that old familiar throb. He moved easier and slept cleaner. Almonds are quiet workers, not flashy, not exotic, but powerful. Each one carries magnesium, vitamin E, healthy fats, plant-based protein, and a touch of calcium. It's a symphony of support for muscles, for nerves, for blood flow. Vitamin E protects muscle cells from damage. It keeps inflammation in check and circulation moving. Magnesium calms the nerves. Calcium keeps muscle signals on track. And the fats, they carry these nutrients deep into the body's cells, where healing happens. For Michael, the change wasn't just physical. It was emotional. He felt prepared. He felt steady. He felt like he was participating in his own care. He'd sprinkle almonds on his oatmeal, blend them into yogurt, pair them with fruit in the evenings, even brought them on walks. No salt, no coatings, just plain, raw almonds, pure and unbothered. And they worked, he told his brother who had restless legs. told his neighbor who struggled with balance, told anyone who'd listen, because sometimes health doesn't come from fixing everything, it comes from doing one small thing consistently, like carrying almonds and choosing foods that whisper, "I've got you," when your body forgets how to hold itself together. And as Michael sat on his porch one warm morning, sun on his face, almonds in hand, he smiled, because he knew something most people didn't. Leg cramps aren't just a nuisance, they're a message. And the answer doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes it's in the pantry, in the fridge, in the soil. Sometimes it's food. Food that doesn't just fill you, it frees you.